supper and a mother. We're at the best place around. Some stupid with a flare gun burn the place to the ground. Smoke on the water, fire in the sky. Smoke on the water. Burned down the gambling house. It died with an awful sound. Funky and Claude was running in and out, pulling kids out of the ground. But when it all was over, we had to find another place. Swiss time was running out. It seemed that we would lose the race. Smoke on the water, fire in the sky. Smoke on the water.
You wanna know what goes on backstage? Oh, come on. Let me take you by the hand. Ow!
Rudi, are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen,
The way I see it, Barry, this should be a very dynamite show.
You know, I have no idea what the name of this program is, but you're watching it.
Backstage,
All you ever want,
backstage,
all you ever need.
backstage.
Your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there. You'll never wanna leave. You wanna sell your ass for that backstage pass. Backstage is just for the invited. Backstage, they've laid on every...
Hi darlings, welcome to a new edition of Backstage International. In this setting I did the BBC interview, which was on Monday night. You will see sort of an excerpt of it, and I also videographed it a little bit on my YouTube channel in Backstage International. And then I want to ask you for understanding. From next Sunday on, for 2 weeks, I'm off with my two boys, Ruby and Benny. Maybe we do Backstage International, maybe we don't. If we don't, then please give us the time. It's the first time the three of us are away. We are half working, half holiday. So it's going to be very exciting, the Dolezals. So this is what I wanted to tell you. And also that you can from now on, because people were asking me, you know what the pre-order thing is for people who wanted a signed book of my autograph. By the way, we're still sending out. Don't forget, there are thousands, yeah, and we're still sending out, and we are almost there, but still there is people who haven't received it. I apologize for the long waiting time. You know, none of the publishing houses wanted to do it, so we have to do it ourselves. The little small book team, which is a very dedicated group of fans of Queen, and I have to say also friends or followers of mine. So we're gonna get there, but for those who never pre-ordered and said, fuck, how do I get a signed copy of My Friend Freddie, which is this book, which you should have, with 30 chapters, 300 pages, and a lot of previously unreleased photographs, and 80% of what is in the book I've never told before. Then go to my website, www.rudisworld.com. Again, www.rudisworld.com. There you find what you have to fill out to get now, after the pre-order is long finished, when you want to have a signed and dedicated book. Be there. Thanks for watching. Mwah. Love and respect.
Colin Murray, weeknights, BBC Radio 5 Live with Nick Bright.
Right, the Monday Night Fan Club then. Let's get this show on the road. It was all about penguins last week. Now this week we're following up a suggestion from our listener Matthew in Birmingham. He suggested Freddie Mercury, so that is what we're doing. Right, let's get my final guest on. He's been waiting patiently, I can see on the screen up there. But, you know, one man who got to know Queen and Freddie Mercury rather well after Live Aid was double Grammy-winning video and documentary maker Rudi Dolezal. Now, he directed the video for this. One Vision, of course, which then led to him directing over 30 more videos for the band. He also became a friend of the singer and wrote about his experience in his book, My Friend Freddie. Rudi, hello. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Nick. Hi.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for waiting patiently as well. You know, I could see you up there on the screen just listening in. So talk to me then how you met Freddie Mercury.
Well, it was actually for an interview. I was a very young reporter for Austrian television. I was not a Queen fan. I was actually always a Rolling Stones fan. But I did that, and I was told Freddie's a very, very difficult interview partner, but it should turn out completely different. We clicked, or there was the chemistry from the very beginning. It became what fans now call the famous prostitute interview, because I got out of him, the quote where he says, "I'm just a musical prostitute, my dear," when I asked him how he sees himself as an artist. And then he also said, when I asked him, "What do you do if people don't buy your records anymore?" He said, "I become a strip artist." And then I said, "To what music you would strip?" And I said, "All the songs I've written. That's why I wrote them for." So it went on really well, and I was a very young director with a lot of we say chutzpah, and also very big-headed. So at the end of this interview, although he worked with superstars like David Mallet, who is a very great friend of mine, I gave him my business card and I said, "If you really want to have a good video director, call me." And he took it, and of course, I didn't think that anything happens, but 3 months later, Jim Beach called me up, and I got the job for One Vision.
Wow.
Because I sent them the little documentary I made, and they probably liked it,
Yeah, but getting that call, I mean, like you said, it's one thing giving someone your card and saying, "I'll give me a call." But when you're speaking to a superstar, you never expect them to actually call you. Can you remember how you felt?
Not. It's also not really the way. I mean, afterwards, when I worked for Bowie or other people, you don't do it like this. This is actually the way not to do it. But, I have to say, actually, my phone almost fell out of my hand, when Jim Beach called me, because I couldn't believe it. He said, "Can you be in Munich tomorrow?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, you're the one who should do the next video." So this is all, I described this in my book, My Friend Freddie, because not only the behind the scenes stories of videos, don't forget, Freddie he'd always called me his favorite filmmaker. I made all the videos of the last years, including, the one on the train, Breakthrough, the one with the kids, The Miracle, up to I'm Going Slightly Mad, which I think is our masterpiece of Fred and me together, because he really put in a lot of ideas into the concept, and up to the very last one when he was in front of a camera, which was in front of my camera, I might say, which was These Are the Days of Our Lives. So this book comes from the heart, and I was thinking about more than 25 years, should I write it or not? It's 30 pages, 30 chapters, but at least another 30 chapters I did not write, because I thought it's too private and Freddie wouldn't like me to say things. Yeah. But it's...
I wanted to find out, you kind of just touched on it there. How involved was he when you say he was involved? How hands-on was he with the input?
Well, he was the pop star or the rock musician or the artist or whatever you want to call that. And I had the privilege to work with a lot of them he could have become a filmmaker. He was very into visuals, not only that, but also into working out the concepts. In my book, I write a chapter about, I call it the ping pong, when we were sitting, in Garden Lodge in his living room and working out concepts. That was something I never experienced before or after with any other star. He was into filmmaking and photography like nobody else.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely somebody who could turn his hand to lots of different things.
And he opened the door for me for the Champions League of music video making, because I met, once there was a dinner, he invited me for dinner in Garden Lodge, and there was suddenly Rod Stewart and Elton John there.
Right.
And were telling me,
So he plugged you in with other people, is what you're saying, which
exactly. And then also Mr. Bowie, of course, it was a big reference when you do videos with Freddie. Then David came up and
Stop it! You're going to get Leslie going if you're talking about David Bowie.
Well, I think David Bowie was one of the greatest, besides Freddie or with Freddie. I mean, I don't make a chart, number one, number two, but David as well as Freddie, they were, in my view, and don't forget, I come from Austria, which at the time, it was unheard of that an Austrian does a video for a big band like Queen. North Korea would either become a football world champion than an Austrian directing a video for Queen. But both of them, they were artists in the sense where I like it, which we could talk with them about visual art, about photography, about poetry, about, everything. And they were educated and knew a lot about it, and were very talented.
What do you remember about directing his last appearance on screen? It was for the song These Are the Days of Our Lives.
Well, I do remember, and I have to be careful because it always touches me until this day, the very last take, when Freddie Mercury was in front of a camera. For this video, Jim Beach called me up before the video, and he never did that. And I was known to be a so-called perfectionist. I did takes over and over and over again. For example, for Breakthrough, Freddie had the idea that the band and Debbie Lang, they come out of the tunnel and then jump in the air and sing Breakthrough, the last Breakthrough. Of course, they were never in sync. So we did this take about 15 times, and I'm sure they hated me, So he said, Rudi, we don't know that Freddie can make the whole shoot, be, happier with earlier takes. So we do the very last take, which was happened to be the close-up, which was unusual because usually I did the close-ups very early in the day. But I did it, and Freddie was a super pro. He was completely on sync, so he does the whole song, and it was the last take. I say, okay, thank you, cut. It's a wrap. Thank you. And then Freddie comes up to me and says, no, let me do it again. And if you know the song, at the end, he whispers, I still love you. And when we did the take again, he first gave us the big Freddie Mercury, then he laughed, then he snipped with his finger, said, I still love you, and went out of frame. And said, okay. I didn't even realize it at the shoot, but when I edited the video in the editing room, I said, oh my God, this clever bastard. Now I know why he wanted to do the take again. The laughing is like, don't take everything too serious. The whispering, I still love you, is his last message to the fans. And the walking out of frame is the walking out of life, because he knew better than anybody else that he will never be in front of another camera again. So that was Freddie.
Yeah. Wow. A great story. A really, really great story. Thank you for sharing it. Just before we let you go, if you could, in about 30 seconds, just because we're short on time, we've got to end the program. Dotton's standing by. But, how do you remember Freddie?
I remember Freddie as of course, for me, there were three Freddies. The one Freddie was on stage where I filmed him at Wembley Stadium as well as Nebworth Park, where he had thousands of people in the palm of his hand. Then there was the private Freddie, he was rather shy. And then there was the Freddie within, I call it the inner circle in my book, where he was really wild. And through these three personalities, and what people do not know, he was a very giving person. And and when I remember the very last video, I later found out that on one foot he didn't have a sole, so no skin anymore. So he must have had enormous pain, but he never let anybody feel that. So I had, in the end, after having all this appreciation for him as a star, if we get an illness like that and we behave until the last day like Freddie Mercury, that was really showing me that he was a very, very big human being as well.
Okay, Rudi, thank you very much for coming on. We really appreciate your time.
Let me just say one more thing. If you want a signed copy of my book, go to rudisworld.com.
It's done and done. Thank you, Rudi. Take care. That's Rudi Dolezal, award-winning video and documentary maker who worked with Freddie Mercury.
All you ever want, backstage. All you ever need, backstage. Your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there. You'll never wanna leave. Backstage, it's where you get the action. Backstage, and bring you to your knees. Backstage, you go for satisfaction. You can do what the hell you please. You wanna know what goes on backstage? Oh, come on. Let me take you by the hand. Ow!
Rudi, are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen,
The way I see it, Barry, this should be a very dynamite show.
I have no idea what the name of this program is, but you're watching it.
Backstage. All you ever want. Backstage. All you ever need. Backstage. Your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there. You'll never wanna leave. You wanna sell your ass for that backstage pass. Backstage is just for the invited. Backstage, they've laid on everything. Backstage, all you ever want. Backstage, all you ever need. Backstage, your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there. You'll never